Welcome back to Authentic Conversations. I am your host, Darty.
And I'm your host, KP, and here we have real conversations
with real women in their 20s. So, y'all, we are on episode 2.
Deuce.
Y'all already know, and y'all can see, I had a special guest.
Ding.
This is my good sis. This is family, okay? I don't play about this one. But today we'll be talking about childhood trauma.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I feel like a lot of people can relate to this topic for sure. You've seen it like throughout social media, things like that. But before we get started with the conversation, we're gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Daisy. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur, creator, spiritualist, soon to be life coach. So this is my perfect topic for today. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah, I got a hand to the cup. Give your hands. Okay, so first we're just gonna start off with what is childhood trauma? What would be a definition for you?
What I would define childhood trauma is the trauma that you experience, of course, during childhood, but it's basically when you experience unloving circumstances, abuse, neglect, anything in that nature that puts you at risk is trauma.
Okay. KP.
Yes.
Do you feel like you have childhood trauma of your own?
I feel like I do, but even just asking what is childhood trauma, I guess I wonder did I have childhood trauma? I guess it's hard to say, or thinking back, was this an experience that really changed something in me? And I know I've seen different TikToks saying oh, this is signs that you were neglected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I never even thought about it like that. So I feel yeah, but it's kind of hard to say what's what.
Okay.
What about you, Darty?
Yes, I feel like I definitely have experienced childhood trauma and focusing on healing. I feel like I'm just getting to the point where it's starting to affect me at 23. So just pinpointing different things throughout my childhood that may trigger some things in my adult friendships or even relationships. So yeah. All right, what does trauma look like? And I know it can look different for different people, but what are some of the main things that you can kind of look for?
So I would say trauma looks so different for everybody. Trauma looks like, again, abuse. Trauma looks like neglect. Trauma can look like sensory issues that you experience, especially for me. I have sensory issues when it comes to loud noises at times. So it just looks different in all aspects in all different places. So yeah.
That's so crazy with the sensory thing, because I don't think I have that. I'm really kind of numb to the sound stuff.
Yeah.
But my brother, maybe when he was I guess since he could talk and show his emotions, he was I can't do the loud stuff. My family is really loud, laughing, yelling, very loud.
Yeah.
And he literally is no, I can't. It's too much. So I definitely feel I've never thought about it like that. So I have seen an example though.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think everyone goes through some type of trauma?
I can answer this. Yes, we all do.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I know Kendra was talking about she doesn't know if she have ever experienced childhood trauma. See, the thing is, when it comes to trauma, it looks different. And so it's not as detrimental as some people, someone who has experienced abuse or, things in that nature, or coming from a household with people that battle addictions and things in that nature. But we live through trauma from even our parents. So it's generational. So a lot of the things that we probably wouldn't think is trauma is like certain things, even from what we grew up in childhood. It doesn't even have to come from the environmental aspect of it all.
Stuff you was around.
Yes, exactly. Like in schools, and if you got bullied and things in that nature, that's trauma. So little things like that like establish triggers for you or insecurities. I would say, yeah, everybody has them.
I think that's kind of interesting, just because like I only think about my parents. And like I think I don't want to expose them.
Don't expose them too bad.
I feel like one of my parents, like they can be really selfish, and I think some of that rubs off on me, and I like hope like for my kids I'm not like so like wrapped in myself that I can't give what I need to give my children. And then I feel like my other parent is just like, I don't know how to say, I would just say insecure. So it's like all day insecurities is just like coming out daily, and we not to say we kids, but your parent is always gonna be your parent, so you're always gonna be a step below technically. Then so it's kind of hard to be like, hey, like maybe you should like address da 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 da. But then I'm thinking like, how does that shape me at that point? Just because like I see the flaws in them. Yeah. But then it's like, well, now I need to see the flaws in myself.
Yeah, self-reflecting.
Yeah.
I think like when it comes to parents, you're dealing with their childhood too. So like you have to internalize, these are your authority figures, but you have to realize that they may haven't got the childhood that they gave you. So that emotional, that mental, that physical aspect that they lack, you have to carry sometimes. Yeah. And so now you just like,
I'm tired.
That burden. Don't carry that burden.
Yeah, that burden is heavy.
Yeah. Got you.
Because now I just want to do better.
Yeah.
But I also am like, they still my parents, so it's like I don't want to continue. Them. Yeah, but it's like, no, you dead wrong.
No, for real. You be like, all right, now you doing too much. Like,
always.
Come on now, like calm down. Like we in a new era, new age. Stuff is different now.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, do y'all think that, okay, like, if this was something that traumatized you, like something that your parents did or something your friends did back in the day, like, is it good to confront them about it, or is it more so just keep it in you, like, you heal from it on your own?
It depends on the situation.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. I think that sometimes people neglect the trauma side of things, and they allow it to become resentment to some people. So you will see most people that go through like trauma, whether they're in their 50s, they hate somebody or they dislike a family member because they weren't able to address it at that time. Yeah. So their healing is ignoring it or dealing with them on their own terms, and you're ending up resenting that person instead of. And some people you literally just cannot like probably talk about.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So you gotta internalize. Now that's something different, but yeah.
So you think the first approach should be like try to. Well, obviously we say it just depends.
Yeah, it depends.
If you feel like it's necessary, I'll say that.
Honestly, you will hear people say often is healing is not linear. So sometimes people will attempt to like. Even years later after the situation happened, hey, look, like this hurt me, and like I didn't know how bad it hurt me until it triggered me.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to address it years later, time later.
Well, that answered the healing part. I guess it's important to heal from certain things. Definitely. What are some ways to just combat childhood trauma? If you can do that, if you can't do that, like.
Okay. I think that the first most important thing is to not dissociate your inner child. Because when you look at your inner child as a different person, you forget that child still lives inside of you. And not only are you healing inner child, but you got to think about inner teen too. And that's inner child healing. Like that is very intense. Like I come in contact with my inner child, and sometimes she's like very shy, and then my inner teen, she wants to go to bed. Like she ready to throw it all. So usually how I like balance the two is having patience with myself. It's important to have grace with yourself, because there will be certain moments that you wouldn't think that was too important to you, like certain things that people said to me when I was a child. Like people would say to me now, I'm like, ugh, like I start to cringe up or something like that. And then I have to be like, okay, that's my inner child. Like she feels like she can't defend herself right now. Like especially when people comment on my size, I'm like, oh, she feels like she can't defend herself. But then now I'm older, I'm like, okay, let me have some grace with myself. Let me approach the situation a little bit differently, and let me establish boundaries too. Boundaries is very important as well. So I would say also yoga, doing a lot of inner child work. If my inner child wants to go out and play, if she wants to go out in the rain, stomp in the rain, I let her. And sometimes it's just like you're living through that experience again. So
Okay.
I like totally agree. I was just talking about this in one of my videos.
I'm about to say, I was about to mention your video.
I was just saying how like we're the same person. Like just because I had to mature and become an adult doesn't mean that that's not the same me that was years ago. Of course, I've learned new things that have built me into like where I am now, which is a good thing. But of course, like what I thought when I was really, really young is like the pure part of me, and I should like keep that. But I think that sometimes I feel like I literally just cannot remember. Like I don't have the best memory to be like, okay, this is something that affected me, or like, of course, like if somebody says something to you and it's gonna stick with you all these years, obviously that had like a really big impression on you. But something that didn't, and now it's like you just like subconsciously still hear them. I guess it's like trying to like pinpoint the times.
Yeah.
But I know like specifically, like you mentioned, like people talking about your weight or something like that. I know when I was young, I was really, really insecure, and I was like bullied. I wouldn't say bullied, but like I had friends, quote unquote, that used to talk about me.
Fake.
yeah, that's trauma.
And it's like, at the time I was like, oh, these my friends, they could say stuff like that. But it's also like, no, like they shouldn't have been talking to me like that. I shouldn't have put up with, that type of behavior just because day in and day out you got something to say. It's like literally making me even more insecure than I already am. And I think now that I'm older, it's so funny because I literally don't even get the same jokes that I used to get when I was young. But I also think even if I did, I guess because I've come to quits more with like who I am, like especially when you just finally realize, yeah, I'm me. I can't change nothing. I mean, you can now because there's so much stuff that you can fix now. Yeah, but it costs money. It's not easily accessible. So even at the same time, you still gotta know, like, if I don't have this type of money, that I'm just gonna have to stick with what I look like, and that just is what it is. You gotta just embrace it.
Yeah.
But I always wonder, like, I guess, like, what is it that, like, really hit me to be like, yeah, like, you all right, you know what I'm saying? So I guess I had to just, I would say reflect, but like I said, my memory is shaky. So it's kind of hard to just be like, oh, let me look back at how I felt when I was 7, because I don't remember necessarily.
And I think that's a lot what people do. They think that inner child healing or healing just looks like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna sit and I'm gonna remember like exactly what happened. And it's just like, no, it triggers you out the blue. Like sometimes you don't even know, and you're just like, oh wait, I remember this feeling before. And I don't know if you guys have seen the latest like TikTok trend where people are like, when you're, say for example, they were like, oh, when your friends like flake on you last minute and all of a sudden you're like 6 years old and your dad didn't come get you. So it's just like things like that, and you experience in your everyday adult life. You're just like, oh damn, like, yeah, I remember feeling like this. My dad didn't come get me, or mama didn't do this, or you know.
Okay, I was just about
That's
to
gonna have to have me really think.
Yeah,
I've never thought like that.
That makes sense. And I was about to say, like, cause you, like, speaking of like TikTok, it's like, we was talking about like the trend of like, healing childhood trauma. Like, how do you feel about seeing that all over social media now?
It literally makes me.
And before we end every episode, we give an advice of the day. I think Darty should go first.
My advice for today, if you have any past trauma that you need to heal, just do it. Simple. I'm just playing. My advice for today is to be you in all that you do and stand strong in what you believe in. Like when she was mentioning like boundaries, like whatever boundaries you have, establish them and don't let anybody book you.
Daisy?
You're always changing, I would say. I think that sometimes we hold on to like people that we were, and we're not the same person that we was a week ago, a day ago, an hour ago. So just know that, embrace your change. To do, like I said earlier, things that feel authentic to you. Lead by example, and always trust in faith as well.
Okay. My advice for today is to just always choose you, because you can pour into people and you can give, and you may feel some type of validation from giving and being that go-to person for everybody, but make sure you still being the go-to person for yourself.
Fill up your own cup.
Yes, the same advice that you give other people, you have to take it in for yourself.
Yeah, you do.
Practice what you preach.
Yes. But yeah, I think that wraps up this episode. We will put all of Daisy's information in the show notes
Thank
below.
you for joining us so much. I'm so happy.
This is our first one-on-one guest, so I think it's really, really nice, and I think our podcast is evolving. I hope y'all enjoying all the nice glitz and glam that we added. We do have a YouTube channel. Y'all can see some of the visuals on our YouTube at Authentic Conversations. You can also follow us on TikTok at authentic_conversations. And that's on everything.
If you want to hear more from me, I'll be starting back my podcast as well, called the Dose of Daisies podcast. So I'll be back soon.
I've been waiting. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I've been waiting. Thank you.
So yes, make sure y'all support all of us. We all have our own things going on,
Like we're all
and y'all need to
creating
tap
content.
into it. Okay, we're working hard out here. You can catch us every Monday with a new conversation, and we may spill the tea
With Darty.
and KP.
Yo, peace. It's a wrap.
Why can't I remember the outro?
Yeah, I don't know. Always.
Luckily, you start the intro.
Right. Right.
Okay, period. What's that?